giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube on this fantastic Tuesday. And I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Coming up today, we officially end the bye week. It is time to turn the page, move on to week 8. Start talking about this Rams matchup. We're going to take a look at the Cowboys defense against that Rams offense. Sean McVay, Matt Stafford. We're going to dive all the way into it. But first, before all of that, we'll hit the roundup. Dallas made a couple of practice squad moves, so we'll talk about that. And our division rival gets involved in the trade party, but will Dallas. Something to think about, man. Something to think about. What's good, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
Let me give a shout out to the Texas Rangers. They have advanced to the Fall Classic, and I tweeted this out yesterday, and it was even worse than I thought when I really thought about it. But I shouldn't say worse. This is great. This is great for the DFW area, right? So the Rangers, I moved to Dallas a couple years ago, and since I've moved to Dallas, the Rangers advanced the World Series. Okay, the Dallas Stars advanced to the Western Conference Finals. The Dallas Mavericks advanced to the Western Conference Finals. What the hell are my Dallas Cowboys waiting for, huh? I just need the Dallas Cowboys to complete this whole DFW thing, you know? This gotta be the year for the Cowboys to do it. I've moved down here and watched all the sports that I don't, besides basketball. I fool with basketball that heavy. But I don't watch hockey. But I was into it because the Stars, advanced or whatever. I don't really get down with the baseball no more, but I'm rooting like hell for the Texas Rangers to win the World Series so we can celebrate around these parts. I'm not a Dallas Mavericks fan, but I found myself at a Western Conference Finals game rooting for the Mavericks to advance to the finals. It'd be nice to go ahead and get to the Cowboys AT&T Stadium and we advance into the conference finals or the Super Bowl or something. So, Jerry, come on now. Wake up, baby. Wake up now. Everybody's surpassing you around these parts here in the DFW area. You know? Everybody get to enjoy these successes that are happening. Now, I get it. They didn't win the World Series, and they didn't win the World Cup, or they didn't win the Larry O'Brien trophy or nothing like that. But, hey, it's a start. It's somewhere. It's something to build on top of. We need to get there. You know what I'm saying? I would like to think I have a little part to do with that, moving down here to Dallas. A little something. That's all. Sin City said the Dallas Cowboy effect is on, or the Dallas effect is on you, Scott. I'm just saying, I moved down here. The same year, the Mavericks go, the Stars go, and the very next year, the Rangers go. I don't think that's a coincidence, I don't think that's a coincidence. Okay, one more thing before we get into the roundup. Another shout out. Shout out to the Minnesota Vikings, baby. So ever since the whole show my shirt F Cowboys situation for George Kittle and those 49ers, they are 0-2. And there was this whole record thing, right, that popped up a couple weeks ago where, hey, teams that, end up losing teams that end up playing the San Francisco 49ers, they lose the next week. Well, the Cowboys won. And there is a little bit of record going on where teams that play the Cowboys end up losing usually, but that's a whole different situation. With that loss to the Minnesota Vikings, the 49ers fall now down to 5-2. Philly sits at the top of the conference 6-1. The Lions also lose. The Cowboys win the week before. They sit at 4-2 with a chance to go to 5-2. Everything you want to do, Dallas, is still in front of you, right? And the football season has ebbs and flows for every single team. And I get it. We are a very overreactionary fan base because of the frustration for almost 3 decades. I totally get it. But even after that loss, the conversation wasn't necessarily about not having everything you want to accomplish in front of you. It was about, if you run into that, do you have confidence that you'll be able to take care of business? Now, look, we can take a look at the last 2 games and be excited about it and say, oh, yeah, we can go in there and big bad wolf it. But they need to do that before I'm going to sit here and poke my chest out. I ain't going to fake the funk. They need to take care of those guys if they run into them. However, maybe they don't have to. Maybe they run into somebody else if we get there. Now, I say this all the time. This is a week-to-week league. I can't be like, you can't watch the last few weeks of the National Football League or this year in general and not understand that, man. It is a week-to-week league. Sometimes styles make the fights, etc. And the way the style that Kevin O'Connell, shout out to Kevin O'Connell, I see in here any given Sunday, that's true. But it ain't really just that either. Like, I really, truly do believe the Vikings had the scheme to be able to go out there and be able to do what they did. Right now, Jordan Addison goes down. There's no Justin Jefferson. Addison comes back in. He's fantastic. And they didn't play this whole, well, you know what? We're going to spread the ball around to 17 different people and keep everything in front of the San Francisco 49ers. They said, Addison, Hockenson, eat. And those boys ate. Right? And they got under center and they did the wide stretch zone stuff and the play action. And they did everything we talked about the Cowboys needing to do in this game going up against the 49ers. But I'm a fan of Kevin O'Connell's scheme. Maybe not him as a head coach. I don't know. I don't watch them enough with management and things like that. But I said this a lot in our Illuminati chat. That is the scheme that we should be actually imitating in regards to a little bit of West Coast type stuff, but with an aggressive downfield concepts. Instead, we're kind of this shortened conservative approach, and I don't know if there's room for that in the game anymore. But if the Cowboys end up running into these dudes, they 100% need to look at that film and in my opinion, imitate some of it. I don't know if they will. Do I have confidence? I don't think I do that they would do that. I think they're going to play their way, and that's, it is what it is. But it's a copycat league, man. It's a copycat league, and the things that we saw on film, even with them being 4-0 or whatever it was at the time we played them, I think it was 4-0, there were some things you could have done against that squad, and the Niners did all of it. I'm sorry, the Vikings did all of it. And shout out to their defense. Right? Shout out to their defense for keeping their foot on the gas from quarter 1 to quarter 4. Now, I don't know if the what's the story, if the pumpkin is hatching right now or whatever, right? Like, I don't know if the magic ride, that magic carpet ride is over for Brock Purdy just yet. I don't know. I still think this is a good young quarterback, and he's going through some adversity right now, but he made some throws. He made some throws at the end of that game now. Boy, oh boy. I wonder what they're saying on these networks. I don't watch it, but I wonder what they're saying because it ain't been looking too good for them. They're on the 2-game slide. Your Cowboys, if they take care of business, they're sitting right at the top of that NFC, and we'll see where the chips may fall. So everything you want to accomplish is in front of you, Dallas. You just got to take care of business. And it starts this week with almost said St. Louis, with the LA Rams in week 8, back at home where the Cowboys haven't lost in quite some time. So, yeah, Jay, they're going to talk about who was out and who was in. Hey, that's football. That's football. Nobody gave a damn about who was in and who was out for the Cowboys. They ain't going to give a damn about who was in, who's out for your team. So, yeah, it is what it is. All right, let's get into this roundup. Probably going to be a longer-ish show because there's going to be a lot to talk about coming out this roundup, and then I want to obviously break down this matchup.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation. So you could say it was a bit of a busy day on the wire yesterday across the league and obviously here in Dallas. So nothing too crazy for the Cowboys, but they did make some personnel moves, okay? They released offensive tackle Alex Taylor-Prelu. If that's how you pronounce it, my apologies if it's not. Frenchman, I believe, right? Something like that. 6'8" basketball guy, been around the league. They released him off the practice squad. And they also released linebacker Michael Jones from the practice squad. They signed him about a month ago. According to Gelkin, no replacements are added at this time, but activity appears certain in days ahead. Kind of activity. 16-man practice squad is currently at 12, and the Cowboys worked out several players last week. Well, we featured some of those players in the roundup last week, and honestly, I don't know who they are. So none of those moves are going to move said needle, but they do have to, well, they should be trying to fill out their practice squad. So there are 4 remaining opening spots. I expect Dallas to fill those spots. I don't expect those to come via trade. I feel like if there is a trade, it'll be for someone that can contribute, not someone that you put on the practice squad. You go out and get free agents and things like that, or poach somebody else from pro. No, you poach somebody else from a practice squad. They got to be on the 53. But nonetheless, you sign free agents in that way for the practice squad. You don't trade for that. Speaking of trades, boy, this trade sent Twitter in a frenzy, man. In a frenzy. But Howie Roseman, man, I said this on Twitter. One thing Howie Roseman will not do is sit on his hands. No, sir, Bobski. They went out and traded for former All-Pro safety Kevin Byard, who, again, the Twitter world is unbelievable. My man is 30 years old, and you would think he's 45. The way people go about trying to downplay everything on Twitter. They traded 2024 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick and safety Terrell Edmunds. Mind you, Terrell Edmunds was a guy that got toasted against gave up the only touchdown against the Dolphins, and he's kind of been struggling this year for the Eagles, and they were able to ship him out somehow, some way. In return, they get Kevin Byard. The 5th and 6th round picks for 2024, ironically, that's the highest compensation of the 7 trades that have been made so far. Shouts out to our guy over at Austin, over at A to Z Sports Nashville for that nugget. Interesting. A 5th and 6th round pick plus Terrell Edmunds is the highest compensation so far in these trades. Look, man, I hate Philly, but you ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to sit here and fake the funk, man. Call a spade a spade. This is a solid move. This is a good move. If it doesn't work out for him, that's besides the point. The whole point of when you make these type of moves is to address an area that you believe can either needs help or you want to strengthen a strength. And they did it for really nothing, for being completely honest here. For a 5th and 6th round pick, which you can easily recuperate. If you are good at trading, if you are good at, other teams signing your guys and getting the compensation, compensatory pick, you can get a 5th and 6th round back. So, they watched Terrell Edmunds get roasted and struggle. And even though they said at 6-1, the very next day they said, nah, let's go ahead and upgrade here. Right? It's a progressive, aggressive move. Not just a reactionary move. Right? You don't want to sit and wait until that burns you. They see that there's an area that they can improve, and they improve it. It's that simple. They did the same thing last year, y'all. When AD tackles got hurt and they were struggling against the run, they went out and got a couple guys. They didn't wait to start killing them and they losing games or whatnot. So far, teams that we consider the top teams in the National Football League, right? The Niners, the Chiefs, the Eagles, all 3 of them have made moves so far. The Niners went out and got Gregory. The Chiefs went out and got Hardman. And the Eagles obviously went out here and got Kevin Byard. These same 3 teams did the same thing last year. The Chiefs went out and got Kadarius Toney. Helped them win the Super Bowl. The Niners went out and got Christian McCaffrey. We know what he's doing for them. Now, the Eagles went out and got Robert Quinn, and that didn't do anything. But the whole point stands. Those 3 teams who are looked at as, grade A class, the class of the league type teams at this moment, whether you like it or not. It just is what it is. Those teams looked at their squads and said, not enough. Let's get aggressive and progressive here, not just reactionary. Will the Cowboys be progressive, Cowboys Nation? Now, we applauded them for their reactionary moves in the offseason, right? Getting Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks. We applauded them for that. After a season where we saw wide receiver 2 and cornerback 2 were issues all year. There's no doubt about that, right? Let's admit that. We have applauded them for going out in the offseason and being reactionary to what happened the previous year and getting their guys. Last year, we saw a little bleeding happening in the run game, and we got reactionary, went out and got Jonathan Hankins. That actually worked for the Cowboys. So they asked Stephen Jones, they said, hey, man, the trade deadline's here. Well, you got anything cooking up?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's just, really in the works or, that's really got our attention right now. Obviously, we really like our roster, and we've only been getting healthier the last couple of weeks. So, if something presented itself that made a lot of sense, then we'd certainly do that. I know this time last year we had a chance to get Cooks and it didn't work out, but we got him in the off season. So we ultimately ended up getting him. But right now I wouldn't say there's anything that's in the works or hot and heavy.
Nothing in the works, hot and heavy. Now, maybe he's just talking. Maybe there is something in the works. Are they really going to tell you on the radio? Probably not. But I wanted to do some digging. I wanted to reach out to some folk. Did the same thing last year, right? Like, hey, is there any buzz going on around here? And we knew there was buzz. If you guys remember the VOT show, it was hilarious. The whole eye emoji things. There was something up last year at the deadline, but it never went through, and it was the Brandon Cook situation that obviously the Cowboys went out and got. I was told quiet on that front. So the Cowboys have 7 days if they want to make a move. And I'm going to be honest with you. If there was ever a time to have a pissing contest, this is the one. This is the one, man. Look, you can't keep allowing your conference rivals or just the league in general just to basically make certain moves to advance past you if they already are past you, or to strengthen their team and you are content with what you have, right? And let's not get it twisted. To be fair, the Cowboys have dudes, right? They got some dudes. It's about making sure you put these dudes in the best position to succeed, right? But with that said, I will never be too proud, never be too stubborn to make my squad better if I can via the trade market, via free agency. It's always been my motto, always been my mantra. There are 3 pillars you have to attack, not sit back. You have to attack if you want to go out here in this day and age and win a Super Bowl ring. Drafting, trade market, and free agency. Like, you just have to play those. If you don't, usually you're just going to kind of just be around. That's just usually how it is. So to be fair, yes, we got guys. We ain't using those guys right? Brandon Cooks, for instance, haven't used him right since he's been here. The backfield, I don't believe we're using them right over the last month of the season. And honestly, that's going to be the case, right? Like, if you're going to run into coaching issues, then give me more dudes. That's all I'm saying. Give me more dudes. If it's going to be about our guys being better than your guys, I'm all for loading up on more dudes. So that's where we're at right now. The 3 teams that most pundits and fans would agree are the teams in the running have made their moves. The ball's in your court now. You could do something, or you can stay put, and we can, hope Michael Gallup gets going here. We can hope Cooks obviously gets going here. We can hope Mike McCarthy kind of opens up the playbook a little bit more, get aggressive. You hope these young bucks on the linebacker side of things step up, right? But I'm going to keep it a bean. If the Titans are feeling this generous, right, they want to give away Byard to the Eagles. They want to give away A.J. Brown and whatnot, and they're sellers. What y'all want for Azeez, huh? What y'all want for Azeez Al-Shaair, the linebacker formerly of the San Francisco 49ers, who signed a pretty cheap deal, I believe, with the Titans? It's like a 1-year deal. Big fan of his game. I mean, at one point, they had Azeez, Greenlaw, and Wagner over there. Love their linebacking group. He nice. Azeez is nice. He ranks in the top 11, I believe, in his run defense. He's a guy that attacks downhill. He's fast. You know, I know Dan Quinn doesn't like the big, slower linebackers, although we have LV. The big, slower linebackers. He likes those quick, fast, aggressive dudes. Well, Azeez is that. So I'm just saying, if they willing to give away guys, Cowboys Nation, I'm willing to pick that phone up and say, what you want for? I'll give you a 7. You know, you trading away Byard, you know, for a 5th and 6th. I give you a 7th round pick and a 6th round pick in 2025. What's the harm in that? He don't cost you no bread. He ramps up your linebacker group, which, look, as much as I like Rashaan Evans potentially being part of this group, that don't mean I don't want to make any more moves. You know what I mean? I don't mean I want to make any more moves. Because to keep it a bean, if you get Azeez Al-Shaair in here, he's your best linebacker. But I digress. The Cowboys got dudes. They need to be coached better. That is a fact. There is also another conversation to say, hey, never be satisfied in this situation, especially when your rivals, your competition are not satisfied. Who are we to be satisfied when the Super Bowl champions are not? Who are we to be satisfied when the Super Bowl participants have not been? Who are we to be satisfied when the 49ers have not been? We are nobody to be satisfied. So let me say 2 things here. Because this always divides Cowboys Nation, which is wild to me. Like, I don't get how this divides Cowboys Nation. But you got part of Cowboys Nation, right, who are going to say, man, we got this, we got that. Y'all always bringing up this. Stop whining, stop crying. This ain't whining and crying. We talking about what the Cowboys could potentially do to add to their team. Nothing wrong with that. If they don't, that don't mean the Cowboys aren't going to win. But it's fair to have a conversation to say, hey, man, look around the league. The top teams are also adding to their team. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You got that side of Cowboys Nation who's going to try to poo-poo other teams making moves and poo-poo you, not poo-poo, cap for the front office if they don't make any moves, right? Not saying that they're bad guys if they don't, but I do look at you sideways and say, oh, you cool? All right. Let's hope that everything is good, right? Then you got the other side who's going to be like, oh, we need to go get Devontae Adams. We need to go get Derrick Henry. They're going to throw out all these kind of unrealistic type of names. There is a comfortable median to live in here to where you can understand that you got a team that can compete, but it ain't nothing wrong with going out and making that team better because others in your conference and in the league are doing so. So I don't get how this is a divide, in my opinion. If you look around the league in this day and age, these type of moves that are made usually happen within Super Bowl winners. They hardly ever just sit on their hands at these point in times. Like, that's just facts, you know? That's just facts. So I'll let y'all fight in the chat on that because there's going to be people that say, shut up. We don't need to do nothing. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Our team is fine. Then there's going to be guys that say, no, we need to go get Devontae Adams. It's a crazy pendulum swing here in Cowboys Nation. It's wild, man. All right, let's kind of break this ice here for a little bit before we get into the Rams breakdown because I knew this A block of the show was going to be a bit spicy. 562, what it is, what it do. 562, you live.
Yeah. What's up? How you doing, bro?
What's happening?
Hey, man. Hey, I just wanted to man, you kind of already touched on it, man. I don't trust Matt Trick for offensive player, man. Because I don't think Mike McCarthy go do nothing with him. I only trust Dan Quinn to pay for defensive players.
Tough.
We had a conversation some time ago, man, about Kevin Moore. I don't know if you remember. I told you, man, like, I feel like this. I feel like this about our offense, man. Like, I feel like when we had Kevin Moore as our offensive coordinator, we was like a Ferrari. You know, we had like 8, 10, or 12 cylinders. We could go fast if we want to. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Mike McCartney offense is like a Volkswagen Bug, man. Like,
let me just say this.
Like,
let me say this, because we got to stop doing this. We got to stop doing this. Just because McCarthy's offense ain't shit don't mean I want Kellen. Like, we don't got to do that. We've been there, done that with Kellen Moore. Like, there should. Okay, you go ahead. This your show.
What up? Sorry, no show, bro. Can I say something or?
Yeah, go ahead. I wasn't done, but go ahead.
Okay, no, go ahead. Go finish.
There's a happy medium, just like I just talked about, right? Like, we don't need to be, oh well, you know what, Kellen or McCarthy sucks. Let's bring back Kellen Moore. We know what that looks like, right? We know what that looks like. What we need McCarthy to do, just like with Kellen Moore, was understand what you have, and work around that, because we know what that is for Kellen for 4 years. We know how that ends. We don't need to go back to that. So if you're about to say we need Kellen Moore, I'm gonna say, hey man, why?
Okay. Well, what I got to say about that is this. With Kellen Moore, we have the ability, I think it's easier to say, hey, like, we know we can score 40 points a game, whatever. We know we can do that. But what you need to work on is your game management. I think it's easier to be able to, you have a Ferrari, hey, you can go 130 miles an hour if you want to, but you choose, the driver choose, hey, I'm not going to go 130 miles an hour. I'm going to go the speed limit. I'm going to go 40 miles an hour. But I feel like with our offense right now, we don't even have the ability to go that fast. And I think it's easier to be able to say, hey, Kellen Moore, dial it down, or run the ball more when we have a lead. Play more to your defense. I think it's easier to say,
if it was easier,
play more to our defense.
If it was easier, why didn't it happen for 4 years?
Why didn't it happen for 4 years?
Yes, sir.
I think because, for one, he's the new offensive coordinator, for one, and two, maybe his motive was like, okay, I wanna like, get a head coaching job or something like that. Maybe I'm just going to just put up points.
So you basically just contradicting yourself. So what makes you think that was all of a sudden going to change? If he's trying to, audition for a head coaching job, why would he all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm going to make my offense look worse?
I just said, maybe, man. Like,
right.
I think it's just he didn't have experience. Like McCarthy had. And what I really think happened, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Mike McCarthy said, okay, I'm going to let you run this offense. I'm going to try to learn from you and steal some of the stuff you use and try to add it to my repertoire and use it. But, man, I really just think, man, like,
how's it working out for the Chargers?
I'll say this, too, because it's still young in the season. I'll say this, too. It's still young in the season, and maybe we haven't got to the point where he's installed everything, and they got, they know the offense that well. So maybe they get a little bit better. But I say this, we didn't have to fix the offense.
Yeah.
We didn't fix the management of the offense. We didn't have to change the offense.
No.
We just needed to change Kellen Moore, run the ball more, think about more of your defense.
No, we needed to move on from Kellen.
I think
we
did kind of do that in a way.
We needed to move on from him. Appreciate you, big dog.
Did we not?
I can't. It sounds terrible as it is, but I don't know what's going on here. We needed to move on from Kellen. Like, that is a fact, bro. That just is what it is. The problem is at this moment was we didn't expect it to be McCarthy calling the plays at the top, right? At the beginning of all this, we were looking at Bobby Slowick. We were looking at other people coming in. Like, there are 100% different ways you could approach this thing, but they decided to roll with McCarthy, right? Cool, whatever. I am McCarthy. 70-30, right? 70% of the offense is here, 30% is going to change. That's not what happened. This thing flipped upside down on its head. 70% of the offense changed. His play calling is conservative. It is what it is. He obviously needs to improve. That does not mean we need to keep harping on Kellen Moore. We've been there. Like, what more do you want to see from Kellen Moore? How's it working out for Justin Herbert and the Chargers over there, huh? I thought we was beyond this thing here. Like, yes, we definitely want something other than what McCarthy is doing. No, I do not want to go back to Kellen Moore. We about to put the cape on for that man? Y'all tripping. 100 grand, what up?
My guy.
It was goody, bro.
Listen, we did keep 70% of Kevin Moore's plays, did we not?
I don't think so, but that's what we were told.
So they say.
That's what we were told.
Allegedly. You know, throw that word alleged in there. Okay, right. So I feel like we can turn on this Ferrari, and I think you've seen signs of that the last game. All you got to do is take the rank and let Dak Prescott cook a little bit more, and that's what we saw last game. Did we not throw long passes? Did we not score in the red zone? That's what we did the last game we played. I think you're going to see more of that. I think you're going to see more. I think you're going to see builds off of that. And not only are we going to do that, we already know Mike got the capability to slow it down when need be. I think we're going to turn it on, and we're going to slow it down. This is going to be the offense that you guys been wanting to see. It's going to be, and you're going to see this weekend against the Rams. You're going to see it. So do I want Kevin Moore? No. He's trash. He's garbage. We done been down that road for how many years with Kevin Moore? I don't want him. Look at the Chargers. They can't win a game. They scoring all these points.
They're not even doing that no more, bro. They started off scoring points, but the last 3 weeks they've been dwindling in points. I don't even know why we're having a Kellen Moore discussion. It's a moot point.
Shouldn't even having a Kevin Moore discussion.
No. We need to be. The conversation is about Mike McCarthy and somebody else. If Mike McCarthy ain't the guy, but we know Kellen Moore ain't the guy. But that's a whole nother discussion for the Chargers to have. Honestly, it ain't a discussion for us to have.
Not for us.
No, it ain't a discussion for us to have.
Kevin Moore's not on this team. Kevin Moore's not on this team no more.
Kevin Moore's
ain't
wild.
No need to be even talk about Kevin Moore anymore. Kevin Moore's out of here. You feel me? Kevin Moore's out of here.
Kevin Moore's great. Yeah, man. So, I'll say this in closing, 100 grand. There were things that we did from a passing game last week that I liked. I liked a lot because it was more intermediate stuff, sprinkle some downfield concepts. There were different things going on in the progression, not, all slants or all goes in the seam route. It was much more complex than it was the prior week. So if we can build off of that, but we got to fix the run game, right? We're not doing anything run game wise. So we just gotta fix that, and I think we'll be able to build off some things. But we can't sit here and fake the funk with ourselves right now. Our offense is struggling from a concept standpoint. We need to get better at it. It's okay to say that.
But that's going to fix the run game, Scott. They already know y'all not taking no shots downfield. Y'all not going to take no shots downfield. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to crowd the line and make sure you don't run the football. When you do take a shot, it's a 5-yard pass. It's an 8-yard pass.
I don't think that's going to fix the run game.
So what do you think they're going to do?
I don't think that's going to fix the run game.
I do. That's going to back up them safeties and back up them linebackers.
Here's why.
You're taking 15-yard shots down the field.
Calm down. Here's why, bro. Did you watch the film against the Chargers?
Because they play that too high. They play that too high. When we
I asked a simple question. This man goes off. 100 grand. Did you watch the film against the Chargers?
Yes.
Okay. So you talked about them playing too high. Your problem wasn't about light boxes or crowded boxes. Your problem was you couldn't block for the life of me, right? You had nobody pushing nobody around, climbing to the second level. You were getting beat at the line of scrimmage, and when you weren't getting beat at the line of scrimmage, you weren't doing anything from a schematic standpoint to put your guys in position to succeed. The 2 times you did that, and it was really like 2 or 3, the Cowboys ran well. It really isn't about having light boxes. The Cowboys had light boxes in that game. They were just getting beat at the line of scrimmage, and they were just running into a brick wall purposefully by going in shotgun and running straight up the A gaps. It wasn't because they had 9 dudes. You know, it wasn't like they had 9 dudes in the box all game. It looked like that, right? Because you was getting your ass whooped at the line of scrimmage. So just because you start airing it out and teams will play back, which the Chargers did, that don't necessarily mean your run game just gonna get going. Like you gotta proactively make your run game better schematically, and you gotta block better too, in my opinion.
I agree. You gotta run to the edges, and we don't do that a lot.
Or
we don't run to the edges.
Yeah, or be more creative in how you do it on the interior.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If you notice how the 49ers got beat, it's because they ran to those edges. They didn't run straight up the gut like we did when we played the 49ers.
I mean, wide zone. You know what I'm saying? Get under center. Play the action. Drop back. Like,
So, you know.
They wild in the chat, bro. Appreciate you, though, 100 grand. Let me keep moving.
You, man.
One more I got here from B Bird, and then we'll do the preview and we'll come back to this. What's good, B Bird?
Hey, what's up, Scott? How you doing this morning, man?
What's goody?
All right. Hey, so I was listening to that clip of Stephen Jones, and he was talking about Cooks and said they weren't able to work it out last year, but was able to get him in the off season, and we kind of just be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's true. But that's big, right? Because really, you're saying that we had a chance to improve our team last year, and we didn't make the deal.
Didn't pull the trigger.
Because we don't know what Cooks could have done. Man, I always tell people that in that San Francisco game, after Pollard went down, we only had one playmaker. Also, after the first play of the second quarter, no other wide receiver not named CeeDee Lamb caught a pass. So you don't know how effective Cooks would have been last year for us.
Yeah, I remember B Bird when we traded for him. I was like, I mean, it'd been nice to have him in that Niners game, but I'm happy we got him now. But yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah. And we kind of just skim over it, but that's big because he basically say, we can just wait till the next season. And I'll say this real quick: the GMs act with urgency because they have to.
Yep.
But we don't have that. But anyway, I'll move on from that. When we have no moves and the teams that are better than us or went farther than us make moves, that kind of tells us something. So I think that we don't know because the trade deadline isn't here yet. But to be honest with you, Scott, I would thought that really if we're going to make a trade or an acquisition, doing it during a bye week would be probably the best time to do that. What do you think about that?
No, I agree. You know, and that's why I was reaching out I think last week leading up to this thing. We talked about Jordan Schultz saying the Cowboys will be aggressive or whatever. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but you know, Steven said what he said, but you know, also he could just be posturing. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes, and I tend to believe there might be something that could happen, but it would look like a Jonathan Hankins edition, not a Kevin Byard edition, right? Former All-Pro. I don't think you're gonna get that, but yeah, I agree. If you'd have got it in the bye week, you know, that player would have had an extra week to get acclimated, but I mean, it doesn't mean you give up, right? Like if something's out there, if a team calls you and they say, "Hey, we're looking to move on from this guy, are you interested?" Yeah, you listen and you always pick that phone up and try to make your team better. The way though that they do deals is the way that Jerry operates in business though, and I think that's a mistake sometimes, right? Where his mantra is, I ain't picking up the phone to make the offer first, or I ain't picking because then we're going to lose the deal. Forget about losing a deal, right? Like in that manner, make your team better. You're not going to lose a deal unless you get swindled. And I'm not saying they got swindled for the Trey Lance, but you know, you already gave up what I thought could have been a quality asset, a 4th round pick, and you gave it up for Trey Lance, a quarterback that you hope don't even play and probably won't for the season, as opposed to using it to make your squad better. Strange move, but he's here now, right? So now, you know, you're hoping to tap into, do we have any more 5th or 6th rounders, possibly next year's 5th or 6th rounders? And you can't say, well, Scott, we ain't got no more picks. I mean, I've seen teams trade 20, 25 picks for guys. So it's possible. Correct. It's just a matter of, do you want to do it? We covered our picks. We understand that. I get it. But I would not be upset, obviously, if they picked up the phone and tried to make an addition to this team and did make an addition to this team, because your adversaries are doing it, right?
Yes. And I have one thing, and I'll make a statement kind of, and I kind of want you to maybe I'm going to get off the phone and let you expound on it.
Sure.
I'm looking at Rashaan Evans, and he's a pretty quality linebacker. He was out there. But to me, I don't understand why, if he's going to be an upgrade on your team, I think that he's an upgrade even with LVE here. Why does it take an injury to go and say, hey, maybe we'll go get this guy that played linebacker at a high level that's still young? I think this should have been something that, because if you're always trying to evolve your team, always trying to make your team better, why did it take an injury to LVE to make them go out and get a quality young linebacker that was just sitting there for them? And I'll get off, man, listen to your answer offline.
I appreciate you, Bert. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think it's because we are a reactionary front office. We haven't been a progressive front office in quite some time, and for most, it'll say it's worked out. Cowboys have been competitive. They've always been in the mix, you know. So I think that's the answer, right? We're not a reactionary front or a progressive front office. We don't get in front of things. We react, you know. And that's why you go out and get Gilmore in the offseason, because cornerback 2 was a problem all year. You knew it was a problem, but you waited till after the season. Fine. Wide receiver 2, you knew it was a problem, and you waited till that offseason. The running game, interior defensive line last year, you were getting absolutely obliterated. You knew it was a problem, and you waited till it became a problem, and you went and got Jonathan Hankins. We're reactionary. Linebacker was already thin, on thin ice. For whatever reason, they just kind of was like, we're cool. We'll just move a safety down there, and we'll roll with 2 real linebackers. What happens if one gets hurt? One got hurt, they reacted, and got Rashaan Evans. We'll see if that's a blessing in disguise, but that's my answer there, B-Bro. I think we just are a reactionary organization, and I don't think anybody can dispute that. Even for those who love the front office, you cannot dispute that whatsoever. You can't watch the rest of the league and say that the Cowboys are a progressive, aggressive organization. They're not. We're reactionary. It is what it is, you know, and it might work. It might work. We'll see. You know, they're going to be competitive because we draft well. We got some good players, but you got to win the whole thing, you know. All right, let's take a quick break. Let's reset real quick. We'll come back. We'll jump into this Ram stuff. I knew this first part was going to get. I didn't know we was going to go into a Kellen Moore rant, but I knew this first part was going to get a little interesting.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
in front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
It is, Brother L. I mean, like I said, they treat this thing like a business. Brother L said it's also a business tactic. Never seem desperate. Allow your competition to think you don't, to know your tendencies. Keep negotiations internal. Business, you know. If you treat football like business, they're going to run it like business. I'm just saying, for me, if the Chiefs ain't too good to make a move, the Eagles ain't too good, the Niners ain't too good, what makes us think we are? That's all. But you'll get fans who are going to whine and complain that you're just saying, I'm okay with them making a move, and I'm okay with, being okay with them looking to make one. If they don't, I ain't going to sit here and whine and cry about it, not at all. But, yeah, I think they should be aggressive here. Progressive, whatever you want to call it. No doubt about it. All right, let's jump into this preview, man. Start talking about this Rams game. Start talking about this Sean McVay offense. We've been here before. We've seen this offense before. The Cowboys have played this offense before. They did a damn good job against it, too. A couple moments they had last year, but, for the most part, they played very, very well. This year, a few different additions, and we'll get to that in a second. This is your typical Sean McVay offense. Creative, movement, aggressive as all get out, right? Like, this is, nothing has changed in what they do. They're 7th in yards per game. They're 16th in scoring. They run the ball the 18th the most in the league, which is not great. 18th in rushing attempts, and they're 15th in rush yards. So this is pretty typical of a Sean McVay offense. They're not a team that wants to run the ball as a part of their offense. They just kind of run the ball to keep things going. And when they do it, they run the ball with more eye candy than they do with just flat out beating you or with their best guys. That's just how they do it. They particularly get off to a slow start. They're 17th in the league in first half scoring. That's one thing you'll notice when you watch the film is that they just don't really get going early. A lot of field goals or punts, and you go into half times and the games are 9-3, 6-3, 9-0. Like these games aren't really shootouts, hence why they're 16th in scoring. What they do well from a volume area is they're top 10 unit on third down. McVay has a really good scheme, right, to get guys open. And they're 10th in red zone touchdowns. So once they get down there, they can punch it in a decent rate. And 10th normally would be great. This year, red zone offenses around the league has been strange. Their most productive back, if we get back to the rushing aspect, their most productive back was Kyron Williams. And he's been put on IR. He was leading their team with like 400-some rush yards, I think. And now he will not be available. And it's Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson's job. And again, last year, Dallas did a pretty good job against him. I think they had Cam Akers in that game, which you could argue are better. But, these guys, Freeman and Henderson, their guys are going to play behind their pads, right? They're not going to make you miss a whole lot. They're going to play some heavy football, and they're going to get downhill. So if you can meet them at the line of scrimmage, if you can meet them at the second level, I don't think they're going to make you miss a whole lot. But it can be physical if they decide to go that route. Now, they're going to run at you in a very similar way as the 49ers would. Hence, Mike McDaniels, 49ers, Sean McVay, you'll see some similar things because those guys come from the same tree. It's not as creative as, say, the 49ers, but you're going to get that pre-snap motion stuff, the backfield, post-snap with the tight end, some wham blocks, crack blocks, going to get downhill, and they're going to get their wide receivers involved. And a lot of what they do from a running standpoint is eye candy. Like their offensive line is going to push you around, and we'll get to them here in a second. But a lot of it is eye candy. Again, it's not as creative as Shanahan, but if you got a suspect D-line or a suspect linebacking core that's undisciplined, it can create some lanes for you a little bit. But if we jump into the lab real quick, that's not the lab. If we jump into the lab real quick, this is what I mean by they'll involve their wide receivers. And this is what makes Cooper Kupp such a well-rounded receiver. Cooper Kupp is on the left side of your screen right here, right around the cursor. And let it play for a little bit. And he could either crack down here or turn his guy. I thought he was going to make like a crack block here, but he actually turns his guy and creates a lane, and he finishes the play. And this is just what he does, and I think it has an effect in that whole wide receiver room. All those guys block well, and if you want to be in a Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan style of offense, you've got to be able to block as a wide receiver. So get ready for that. The cornerback's got to be physical. They got to be ready to meet these guys in line of scrimmage, and sometimes he'll even block a defense end. So that's just what he does. Let's not get it twisted, though. Let's not get it twisted. This offense runs through Matt Stafford and these wide receivers. Now, Cooper Kupp was out for a while, right? So they were leaning on Puka, Nacua, and Tutu Atwell for the most parts, right? And Tutu responded well. You know what I'm saying? Before Kupp got there, and I don't understand why that just froze on me. But before Kupp got there, Tutu was balling a little bit. But ever since he's returned, he only has 3 receptions. So he's kind of been phased out a little bit here in this offense for whatever reason. But he still is somebody that you have to worry about from a big play standpoint. I'll just play it from here. It didn't take Cooper Kupp long, though. It didn't take him long to get going and get back into the swing of things. He had back-to-back 100-yard games. However, he did not have a good game last week. Only 2 receptions for 20-some yards. But I expect Cooper Kupp to get 8 to 10 targets in this upcoming game. What makes him tough to deal with, though, is besides his ability, obviously, is how they use him, where they use him, and how to get him involved, right? Bunch formations. They'll line him up in tight and allow him to just run an out with a whole bunch of green, and Matthew Stafford is going to get him to rock out there. And if he catches you one-on-one, you got to be able to man up on him. You just have to. You got to get physical. You can't be soft against Cooper Kupp or it'll make you pay. Same thing for Puka Nacua. They're very similar in how to use those dudes. And Nacua, just a fantastic start to his career, man. Just a really good young player. Really, really good young player. If you look at how they used Nacua, it just mirrored how they used Cooper Kupp. Mirrored it. He's a tough dude, strong hands, can make contested catches, and pretty tough after the catch, too. Pretty tough to deal with. He gets some momentum. He can get going. He runs like a big guy. So I say this because we've struggled with this a little bit. Get ready for a bunch of over routes, crossers, deep digs, all that stuff between Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Here's a play from last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers that should look very familiar to the Cowboys. At the top of the screen, or the bottom of the screen here, is Cooper Kupp. He's going to go in motion, and they love to isolate their guys on these crossers, meaning they'll get a whole bunch of routes going one way, flooding one way, with Kupp or Nacua coming the other, especially if you get caught in man, and things like this can happen to you. And with Nacua, man, he kind of has a gear. If he gets ahead of steam, he can get upfield on you. But this should look very familiar to you, because we've struggled with these crossers. We've struggled with these deep overs. And that's why getting to Matt Stafford is going to be important. And we'll get to that here in a second. But this was last year. And in the slot, you've got Cooper Kupp against our best corner and Trayvon Diggs. And I said this the other day, and this is just a shallow crosser, but these crossers, these overs, these deep overs, they are tough to deal with in man if you don't get pressure on the quarterback. And if you guys remember what happened last year, you just get a good release. You don't get physical at the line of scrimmage. Cooper Kupp with a nice catch, and he's gone. And this was against our best corner. So, we don't have our best corner in this game. We're rolling out Deron Bland, who was fantastic. A guy who I would probably start coverage there. And Gilmore, who's obviously struggled with some of these over routes. But that just goes to show you, you can be on the top corners in the league. It's hard to deal with if you don't get physical at the line of scrimmage. So, get ready for a whole lot of that. Which is very, very important to pressure that man, Matthew Stafford. Very important to do so. We know what Stafford is. He can deliver the ball. If you give him time and his wide receivers get open, he can get it to him. Matthew Stafford has an arm. He can do all kinds of these weird angles to get them to rock. He's baseball, all that stuff, right? He leads the league right now in big-time throws when he is kept clean. However, he can also be very sporadic. That's just part of his game. Stafford is what I call another pusher man. He pushes the ball down the field at the fifth most in the league. The difference between him and Justin Herbert is that Justin Herbert isn't quite as accurate as Matthew Stafford's been. He's fourth in the league in deep passing completion percentage right now. But it's all about the pressure. If you go look at some of these plays from earlier, it's all about the pressure with Matthew Stafford and getting to him. He is 33rd in the league in completion percentage when he's pressured. His completion percentage drops all the way sub 40. Scott, there's only 32 teams. Precisely, he's 33rd. And he has the second most pass attempts under pressure this year. So you get after Stafford, he's going to give you opportunities. He already has 6 interceptions on the season right now. All right, 6 interceptions, 7 games. That's always been Stafford. He's going to give you ops. You just have to make sure that you take advantage of them and come down with it. I feel like I say that every game with some of these aggressive guys. That's part of their game. Now, he doesn't have the wheels he used to have back in the day. He used to scramble pretty well, but he can still get out the pocket, be a little bit mobile, and make a throw downfield. He had what I call a YOLO touchdown last week against the Steelers. It wasn't like he made a great throw. He actually made a poor throw, but Tutu Atwell happened to undercut his route. It wasn't even intended for Tutu. Makes the catch and scores a touchdown. So, I Look, he's going to make throws that we're going to say, damn, how did he do it? Right? But he's also going to give you opportunities. The offensive line is going to give you opportunities as well. And I feel really, this is the spot, the matchup I feel so confident about. And I also hate having this type of confidence, but it's a little bit different now because I respect this offense a ton. But their offensive line, you can get after these dudes, man. In the run game, pass game, you can get after these dudes. They struggle with those funky looks. They struggle with the stunts in the games, and we know Dan Quinn loves to do both of those. Love to do it. I can see this game coming down to a situation where the Cowboys are getting after Stafford like they did last year, and you're getting some sack fumble situations like they did last year. Or you're getting into some situations where they're pressuring him and you got like 3 or 4 opportunities for turnovers. I can see it. Their offensive line doesn't get a ton of push in the run game. It's really about what they do pre-snap, creating lanes, eye candy. They love to do this little motion where it's kind of a pop motion where they're already out wide, but they'll send Tutu further out wide at the snap and he's running upfield. They'll do it with Puka Nacua. They same thing that you'll see in Miami. Same thing. But getting back to the front, I had tweeted yesterday that I think this could be a game where Osa Odighizuwa could have another dominant performance. Jonathan Hankins, for that matter, too. Their center is not the greatest. He was getting bullied by the Steelers. Absolutely bullied. And I was watching that game, too, come away with the respect for that Steelers defense. Very aggressive defense. But he was getting whooped on. I do like Steve Avila. I like him a lot out of TCU. We talked about wanting him, but he's still vulnerable too. He's been solid. He's been okay, but he can be taken advantage of, especially again with our defensive line. He's already got 2 games this year where he's given up 5 or more pressures, and he's given up 2 sacks and 3 quarterback hits this year. Guess who he gets? Osa Odighizuwa. So welcome to the NFL, big boy. You're getting one of the best defensive tackles playing the game right now. Their best interior guy right now is Kevin Dotson on the other side. Big dude. Big guy. He's probably their strongest offensive lineman. He can get some movement in the run game. But overall, I don't think they can get a lot of movement in the run game. But that guy can push you around a little bit. As for their tackles, look, Micah, D-Law, and company, I think we have an advantage there. Let's just be fair here. Like Havenstein, respected right tackle. Salutes to you, sir. Look, I'll even salute you. Salute to you, sir. Respected right tackle. You can't really with Micah, though. Or D-Law, for that matter. Whooped on that guy last year. He gave up like 6 pressures last year. Had a holding penalty. Gave up a sack. Yeah, no. I think the Cowboys can get after Havenstein. That dude on the other side, was it Aldrick Jackson or something like that? He's probably been their worst offensive lineman. He's already allowed 21 pressures. Last week, he allowed 6 pressures, gave up a sack. Was a Highsmith and Herbig just pretty much had their way with him. I believe it was Herbig. Had their way with them. So I really like this matchup. I really like the Cowboys' defensive front against that offensive front and causing a whole lot of chaos for Matt Stafford. Again, at the top of this whole breakdown, I said this is a team, or a scheme, I should say, McVay's scheme, that is creative, but it's aggressive. They don't really want to live with all the short crossers. They'll hit you with some throughout the game, for sure. They don't want to live there, though. They want to live downfield. They want Matt Stafford to use that strong arm and push the ball downfield. But you know what that means, right? That means you have to have the protection to do it. So we'll see if they alter their game plan. They'll do some screens, the 2-2, some screens of Puka and Cooper. They'll do all that, right? But at the end of the day, Stafford wants to push the rock. McVay wants to push the rock. They're a bit stubborn in that, and they'll do it. He's going to drop back a bunch of times, and he's going to try to push that ball downfield. So I'm actually hoping that's the case. I'd much rather them play that game than the game of we'll just ping, 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 quick short routes, and we're moving the chains, right? Nah, Matt, drop back. Keep being a push man. I don't think your offensive line can hold up against our defensive line and how aggressive it is. So that is the Rams offense. They've got some high caliber players in Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. But they've got some guys like Tyler Higbee and Tutu Atwell who also get involved. And obviously their scheme is one of those schemes, right, where it's fun when you're studying them. It's fun to watch and whatnot. But it hasn't been the greatest offense this year. And the run game, you better not allow their run game to get going. They don't really run the ball that well without Kyron Williams. So you should be able to thwart that run game enough, in my opinion. Interesting nugget. Cowboys just signed linebacker Rashaan Evans. And I was thinking about this as I was breaking them down. Without LVE, you obviously have a younger room, right? You have a room that's never played against this team. And Rashaan Evans did. Last year, he played against the Rams. And in that game, he had 7 tackles. It wasn't like he had some amazing game, but it was like a top 5 or 6 performance from a grade standpoint in regards to the run. He and the rest of that team helped hold the Rams running backs to 3.8 yards per carry in that game. Obviously, it was Matt Stafford's arm who helped win him that game, but he threw 2 picks in that performance as well. So I say all this to say, if he is activated this week, if Rashaan Evans gets the call up, Rashaan Evans at the very least has linebacker experience against a Sean McVay offense. And it may not make a huge difference, but the reason why I bring it up is because Marquise Bell's never played against this quarterback or against this scheme. Clark was not available last year. He was still rehabbing and, in the film room. He never played against this scheme. Malik Jefferson's not going to see the field barring an injury, right? He's a special teams guy. Rashaan Evans, though. Rashaan Evans is now the leader in that room. He's now the veteran in that room. And he can, at least in their linebacker meetings, at least on that sideline, or if he happens to be on the field, hey, watch out for XYZ. Hey, when they do this, this is what's going to happen. Or I've been out there when all the commotion. I've played against Havenstein, or I've played against whoever the other dude is over there, Aldrich Johnston or whatever. I've seen how they move when they make this step. Just fire downhill because they're going, so those little things maybe can help and make a big difference. But I just thought it was interesting that Rashaan Evans does have a little bit of experience, the only experience in that room against this Sean McVay offense and some of these players. So just something to think about. Not saying he's going, shock the world or anything like that. This is a game, if we keep it in the bean, where I don't foresee the Rams doing what they did to you in the playoffs with Todd Gurley. Could be wrong. They could be looking at film and think the Cowboys are vulnerable. Maybe. But I think this is a game where they see Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and Tutu Atwell, and they say, hey, we're going to try to win this thing with those guys. Something to think about. All right. Let's turn the page here, get back to the lines. We'll get back into the chat here. Nacho, what's good, man?
Man, how you doing? Good morning.
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Real good. Thank you. Great breakdown analysis on everything, and thank you for that. So going back, I'm kind of like with B-Bird and everything, how you guys were talking about, I do agree with him as well on that note that, this whole thing with Kellen, that's a foregone conclusion. We decided to make a decision with McCarthy. This is what we have, whether on the bye week, we've made some modifications, we've adjusted, obviously what we want to see moving forward is we want to see this offense start to come into its fruition. And that's the target. That should be the goal. I would love to see our Dallas Cowboys pull and be aggressive between now and the trading deadline. The mentality of we're okay, we have a good enough roster, doesn't always work out. As a fan, you do get frustrated when you do see the Philadelphia Eagles and the 49ers continue to be aggressive every year. Opportunities present themselves even before the trading deadlines. They're making moves to shore up whatever weaknesses they have. And we tend to be, like you said, we tend to just, kind of be more laid back, and we're not as aggressive
Sure.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, we're at we're at 4-2 going into the bye week. We got some intriguing games coming up. I think the next probably 4 or 5 games, other than that Philadelphia game, this is the part where these are winnable games before it starts getting really, really tight here soon. So seeing the 49ers lose back-to-back games now, and how they were affected by injuries, this goes to tell you how open things can be between now and the end of the road,
Yeah, I mean, everything is in front of you, man. Even after a piss-poor performance against the Niners, right? And everybody was ready to just give up on the entire season. You still can do what you want to do in front of you. I doubt those folks over there in Detroit is just like, oh, well, season's over. We got smashed by the Ravens. That's it. Let's hang it up, right? Like, nah, they still can do what they want to do. They're 5-2 after 7. Cowboys 4-2 after 6. You just got to obviously correct the mistakes or correct what needs to be corrected and try to build. Right now it's about building some momentum. The Cowboys haven't been able to do that this season just yet, where their rivals have. So now it's time to stack and build some momentum. And you look at the schedule, you can potentially do that. Again, 1 week at a time. I'm not trying to say these games are easy. That's just not the case. But the Eagles are probably the biggest test coming up here. But you got a chance to stack some games, and if you can do that, now the conversation starts to shift a little bit. I think within our community and our nation, not necessarily nationwide.
Absolute. Lastly, let me ask you this question. If you had to think of a position or a player that you would think would elevate and strengthen our football team, who would you say that would be?
I'm not giving a player because I can Aaron Donald, right? Like, I'm not doing that. But there's 4 positions. I mean, you could realistically look at, linebacker, cornerback, tight end 2, and wide receiver. I think all those positions you could realistically look at and say, maybe I could add somebody. And I actually have it in that order: linebacker, corner, tight end 2, wide receiver. Being realistic, what they could say is easier to get probably is a tight end 2. That might be easy. I don't think linebacker would be difficult either. Cornerback could be tough, but yeah, those are the 4 positions.
And let me see if Evans can play healthy, depending on what type of condition and shape he's in right now. Let's not forget who he was coming out of the draft from Alabama as a first-round linebacker. I mean, this kid is a player, and he has experience. So if he can come in and really mesh into our linebacker corps, I'm hoping he can give us that boost.
Yeah,
he might be the difference. Let's just hope.
Yeah, I like Evans. I think he can be a downhill thumper for you, but I also am not opposed to getting somebody better either. Like I said, Azeez Al-Shahir, I think will come in right now and be your best linebacker.
So that would be. You know what? I love that. And let's hope we do something. And who knows? There's obviously all these rumors and hearsay and all that. Obviously, everybody's kind of shooting it down and not saying much. So we'll see what they do. It'd be great if we do make a move. All right, my man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. Yeah, if you trade, and I really wish we would have traded for Roquan last year, man. But if you're trading for a linebacker, I think you have to have it in your thought process of I'll trade for a guy that can not only help me now, but could potentially be a part of the future too. And I think Shahir could be that. Whereas, let's just be frank here, Evans is likely a rental. Even if he plays, and we had this conversation on the roundtable, even if he plays well, it's hard for me to imagine him being here part of the future for multiple reasons. Dallas ain't throwing it back. It's not happening. I mean, he'd have to go absolutely stupid to even think about that. And if he goes stupid, somebody else is going to pay him. So I just don't think realistically he's going to be part of the future. But if you can kind of hit kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get a guy in here that can help you now and can be a part of the future, that's kind of how they think. They're not really into the mercenary, like high level mercenary additions, in the middle of the seasons. Maybe a guy like a Hankins. Who Who else would they have brought in? They hardly bring in people in the middle of the season. So, but off season, they've done that. Middle of the season hasn't really been their thing. But yeah, I think they could attack two birds, one stone. A guy that can help you now and a guy that could potentially be something for the future. Azeez Al-Shahir, Jay. That's kind of the line. And the reason why I bring that up, Jay, is because the Titans seem to be sellers, right? Like the Titans seem to be ready to just give away certain players. And if that's the case, if I'm not mistaken here, I took a look at his contract. I think he's on a 1-year deal. Yeah, he signed a 1-year, $5 million deal. 1 year, $5 million. I mean, it's nothing. You ain't even gonna pay most of that. You're gonna pay pretty much nothing to bring him in here. He's not gonna garner, I think, a high pick because this is a guy that's on a 1-year deal. So, and it's a team that's looking to just sell. So that's why I brought him up. And there's other guys, there's Josie Jules out there and stuff like that. But I just think Azeez would be a really good fit for you. Jay said, give up the second for King Henry. Look, I'll give away picks for sure. Like, you know what I mean? I ain't stingy with that. But I am one of those that just, for a running back, I mean, a running back, let's just be completely fair here. This ain't the top of his career. We're on the backside of his career. But 1 year, I think he has like 1 year left guaranteed. If you brought him in here, I would hope you wouldn't have to give up no damn. If you give up a second for Derrick Henry, you're a shit team at trading. They're terrible. You're terrible. You better hope he be the missing piece or something because, oh, my gosh, you should not have to give up a second-round pick for Derrick Henry. No. And like I said before, and jokingly, if you going to trade a second for Derrick Henry and run him out of shotgun all day, then what the hell was the point? Ooh, that's a good name. He said Eddie George Part 2. I remember them days when Eddie came. Chris said we don't need Henry. I'm kind of in that camp. Like, you don't need Henry, but if you say you can get Henry for like a 6th-round pick, who was complaining about that? But I agree. I'm not trading no 2nd-round pick for no Derrick Henry. Nah, bro. That just don't seem to make sense to me. I don't agree with that. So Brother L said, with the exception of the Chiefs, could the front office's alibi for lack of in-season acquisitions be that other teams haven't won the Super Bowl with those moves so we can stay patient? I don't think that's true. We watched the 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers make multiple in-season acquisitions and win the Super Bowl, right? You can go back to 2017. The Philadelphia Eagles made multiple acquisitions, specifically the trade for Jay Ajayi, and they won a Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs, they've always been proactive, and they won a Super Bowl. And if you want to go a little step below that, the 49ers and the Eagles also have made in-season acquisitions and either made it to the Super Bowl or made it to NFC Championship games. So I don't necessarily Rams, yeah. I mean, come on now. The Rams did it in 2021. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like in this day and age, most of the Super Bowl winners / participants actually made moves in the middle of the season to get better, whether it be as high as Von Miller or as low as Kadarius Toney, which paid off. They've made those moves, right? That's the whole point, right? That's why I say I don't know how we can watch the league, how it operates, and think that we don't need to be a part of that. Isn't the whole job to make it easier, not more difficult, right? And if I can make it easier by getting a guy, let's do it. I applaud them for Hankins last year, right? I'm cool if they make another Hankins move. I don't need them to make a Von Miller move. Be great. I don't need them to do that. But look, like I said at the top of this thing, Jerry likes to put on this, I'm an aggressive guy, put on this, I'll write a check for whatever to win a Super Bowl guy. But really, I think that competition burns in him in business. I don't know if that same fire burns in him on with this. And look, I get it. He's mostly just a mouthpiece. I know it don't with Steven. Like, that ain't really Steven's. He's just, he's Jerry's son. He's kind of running things now. He's fine with the way things are. That's always Steven's thing. Hey, we're good to go here. But we need somebody to say, hey, man, that. Oh, you think okay, cool. You want to go out and get Byard? I'm going to go get XYZ. Oh, you want to go out and get CMC? I'm going to go get blah, blah, blah. Because you are in that window. Get mad. You ever see The Network? Stick your head out the window and yell, I'm mad and I'm not going to take it anymore. I've watched my rival go get Jay Ajayi. Go get Byard. Go get CMC. I've watched the other side. I wouldn't say rival, but they got there's a little, what do you call it? There's a trophy for the Chiefs. Go out and make moves. They won Super Bowls. I've watched my NFC opponents go out and do that in the Rams and the Bucks. And these moves have helped propel them to get mad. Say I'm not going to take it anymore. If you need to get in the pissing contest one time, get in one. Bust a move. What my man say?
I ain't scared of you, mother.
Bust a move. Bust a mother move. That's all. They ain't got to be mad. Now, Hankins. Aziz Al-Shahir. Kadarius Toney. They're not giving up nothing for him. Kevin Byard. They're giving up nothing for these dudes. I'm not asking you to go be Madden. I'm asking you to do pretty much what you said a couple years ago. I'd write any goddamn check to win another Super Bowl. Oh, word? Where's that competitive fire? That's always, and there are sometimes when fans get wild, right? And they say some crazy thing. Oh, yeah, Madden. This ain't got nothing to do with it being Madden because other teams are making these said moves without giving up first and second round picks, without giving up quality players. As a competitor, how do you sit here, right? As a competitor and watch that happen and be like, yeah, we good. Now, I'd be pissed. I'd be in there like, oh, yeah, this is what we doing? Let me go get better. That's just me. That's just me, man. Hell yeah, I'd entertain it. I mean, I don't... You said entertain, T-Dub. I haven't done my research on Marcus Lattimore, but I'd entertain it. Obviously, what's the compensation? How much it's going to cost you? Things like that. I don't really know that, but they said we were looking to move on from him. Hell yeah. And I don't think I'm off base with that, by the way. You feel I am? Go ahead. Let me know. I'd love to hear how that's some wild thought to have a competitive fire to match what your opponents have done. What's good, Los?
Hey, good morning, Sky, man. Hey, what a great week. Sad week for all the Cowboys haters watching their favorite football team. They couldn't watch anything else. But, hey, it's been a great week for me. I'm not going to brag about it, but, I have a great feeling. I woke up this morning, but just focusing on football, man, talking about these Rams, they're going to be a tough out and a tough opponent. They're just, it's mainly going to be our defensive line versus our O-line and see if we can actually, finally run the damn ball against someone, right? And if we can do that against this team, I think we should be able to have it. And, I think that's the matchup I'm looking for is can we run against the ball against, I'm not saying Aaron Donald's not, prime Aaron Donald, but, he's still someone that, can impact a game at times. So I just want to see how we control him. And other than that, hey, let's go Cowboys. I'm ready for football again. And let's just see what happens. And, hey, go Rangers. That's all, man.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Los. Yeah, we're going to break down the Cowboys' offense against their defense tomorrow. But I don't know if look, obviously, if your defensive line wins in any matchup, that's a matchup to watch, right? For sure. You beat that Rams offensive line, you probably suffocate their offense. But I think the heavyweight matchup is going to be their skill players against the Cowboys' defensive backs in this game. Because no matter what, no matter how much pressure you put on it, this dude is going to push it. This talking about McVay and Matthew Stafford. They're going to, by hook or crook, spam Nacua, spam Cooper Kupp, and they're going to the bunch formations. Me and Professor will talk about this a lot in regards to bunch. You want to talk about a team that run bunch. It's a team that's going to run bunch. They're going to put you in a bind. They're going to try to take advantage of this cover one man defense, but it's going to be about getting home for sure. But if you don't, I need you to be able to cover on that back end because they got some quality dudes back there. And we've been hit and miss, right? We've been hit and miss. They're going to look at the tape. They're going to put a double move or two or three on DaRon Bland. So you got to be ready for that. Be disciplined for that. And I don't think that Matt Stafford is going to miss him like Herbert, right? Like Matthew Stafford, I think, has been more accurate on these passes downfield than Herbert. So that's going to be the heavyweight matchup there for sure. We got Astro fans in the building. Sorry, man. Look, I have no issues with y'all, except for one fan who is a terrible fan in general. But I got no issues with y'all. Hard-fought, 7-game series. But I ain't in Houston. I'm in Dallas, so I'm going to be rooting for these Rangers, man. It is what it is. We got a couple super chats I'll get to here. It's hilarious when so Texas Rob said, looks like Mozzie needs a year to learn. I mean, all these young rookies need years to learn. He said, put more muscle and weight on. Hey, Tex Rob, I don't know if you are familiar with his game, but he don't need no more muscle or weight. That ain't a problem. That's not, I hate to use the word problem, but that's not what Mozzie needs to do. Mozzie needs to work on the technical side of the game, maybe some get off. Just the things you get better at the more you play. But if there was one dude that I'd say don't need off-season peanut butter, it's Mozzie, bro. If you go pop on, and the thing about his position, right, you won't see it on broadcast. You ain't really paying attention to that. If you go pop on the tape, there's every game. He's doing something that you'd be like, oh, how'd he do that with one arm? Oh, he mean, right? But it's just, can we get that consistently? The technical side of things. If you watch how he gets off the ball, and when you watch how Hankins gets off the ball and positions himself compared to how Mozzie does it and positions himself from down in, down out, you'll see the difference, right? But strength, oh, that guy's strong. You don't need no offseason peanut butter. But when that does happen, you'll just be stronger. I feel you, Tex. I'm not saying you're not a Mozzie guy. I'm just saying offseason peanut butter and strength is the last thing that is on the totem pole, what have you, for Mozzie Smith. It's the technical side of things right now for him, honestly. Dro dropped 10 in the super chat.
Super chat.
Appreciate you, Joe. Says, the issue with our team is that the big three components of winning a championship, player acquisition, retention, player evaluation, and coaching, do not work in unison like it does in Philly. That's interesting. So that's the other side of the development, because my 3 pillars to development are team building, I should say, are free agency acquisition, trade acquisition, and drafting. But your 3 pillars to components of winning the championship, player acquisition, that's part of it, retention, player evaluation, I think we do pretty solid in that, and coaching, that's where things are sometimes hit and miss, right? He said it doesn't work in unison like it. I can go further than Philly. It starts we understand. It starts at the top, and that mantra or that how that franchise operates usually is they take shape and form of what's happening up there, right? Like you get John Lynch, tough guy, general manager, tough guy, wants to build a tough team. Gonna be tough, right? And that's a tough team. Let's be honest. Philly, Jeff Lurie said once he snatched that from Chip Kelly, he said, hey, Howie, whatever you did in 2017, do it again. Right? Well, Howie built the team, by the way. He already snatched it from Chip. But do it again. And Howie went and he just lets Howie build a squad. Howie wants to build a squad. Aggressive team. Over there in Kansas City, they've had multiple general managers, successful ones that have went on to be general managers elsewhere, or assistants that are general managers elsewhere. But it's Andy Reid's squad. hey, Andy, do your thing. I'll holler at you in the postseason. I don't need to be involved in much, right? It's a different animal here. McCarthy he understands that every time he does some type of interview and they ask him about the dynamics of his organization, the first thing he says is, yeah, it's nothing like I've ever seen, but it's to be expected. But is he good enough to, That is the question. I don't know if he is good enough yet. He's been good enough to obviously get you to 12-5. There are good things about McCarthy, but is he a good enough play caller? That's where we need to see McCarthy take the next step and hopefully humble himself. Like, hey, first 6 weeks, try to do it my old school approach way. Ain't quite work out. Let's add some modernization to this thing and keep building. And I'm holding out that hope. I know I don't like to live on a hope creed. I hate the hope creed, but I'm holding out that hope that we flip this thing from the previous years where we start off hot offensively, everything is clicking, and then you start to see that thing just do. I'm hoping, we start off weird because this is a new offense. It happens. New offense, play call, play style, play caller. Everything is new, so it takes a little bit, but we see it ascend as we get into the playoffs. That's my hope. I don't like to live on a hope creed, especially, we're heading into week 8. But that's my hope. I'm going to keep it real. Ryan dropped 10 on the way out of here.
Super chat.
It said, hey, Scott, while people want wide receiver, I think we need to add a defensive end, a player like Danielle Hunter, who can now free up Micah to play more backer, help fill that hole in the linebacker core. I'd love to get – I've been a fan of – I tried to get Danielle Hunter in here. What was it, last year, yo? Last year, 2 years ago? I don't remember when it was. I was trying to get Danielle Hunter up in here. I'm all for strengthening the strength. No doubt about it. I'm all for adding to it. And I think I had this conversation on with you guys and on the round table where if our team is truly going to be built on the back of its defense, now let's look at the defense. What is our defense built on the back of? Getting after the quarterback. So if it's built off of that, keep adding dudes that get after the quarterback. And I don't think Danielle Hunter's a guy you have to take off the field either. Now, the whole Mike at linebacker thing, I had a little bit of there was a little bit of me where I thought, oh man, this really might happen. Then the Chargers game happened, and he played his most snaps there. He played 8, right? But I just don't foresee that being a thing, man. I'm just watching how they're doing it when they're doing it. It just doesn't feel like that's ever going to be like Micah played 25 snaps at backer. They're just not going to do that moving forward. But that doesn't mean I'm out on bringing another defensive end. I just don't think they're ever going to put Micah back there for 15 to 25 snaps anymore. This is going to be Micah defensive end thing, and it is what it is. He's still one of the best in the league, right? Arguably the best in the league, so I'm not about to complain about it. But I do think having a versatile Micah Parsons from time to time helps. But you gotta be deliberate with it. It can't just be like, oh, one snap every 3 possessions he's playing off ball. Like, be deliberate with it a little bit. One more refresher here. Oh, and the receiver part of it. Look. Yeah, wide receiver to me is like the last one because I think put Tolbert in the ballgame. Use Turpin, use Cooks. And I think we cool here. It's not necessarily like the Cowboys don't got guys. It's that they're not using those guys and they're using the wrong guy. But if we were to make a move, the move that I like that I've been hearing a lot of fans talk about and myself just thinking about would be to swap your XY receiver out, right? A Cortland Sutton for Michael Gallup. I'd love that. I think Sutton is just more physically there and more dynamic, I think. So I'd swap Gallup and Sutton, but just swap Tolbert and Gallup. You ain't got to make a trade. I did have one I missed. My bad. D-Web dropped 2.
Super chat. And
D-Web said, Stafford has 1,600 yards, 63 completion percentage, 6 tutties, 5 interceptions, and a 2-3 record versus Dallas. Sure. Yeah. Matt Stafford has always been a little up and down against the Cowboys, right? He's always been up and down against Dallas, and that's been his game. And I think the Cowboys got the advantage here. 100%. 100%. Rolo said I like Sutton. Yeah, I think Sutton would be an upgrade. What about Michael Thomas? Is he on the block? Hell, Michael Thomas would be an upgrade. It's not hard to be an upgrade, right, to Michael Gallup at this point. But I told y'all my thoughts on the whole CeeDee Lamb, because I feel like you can slide CeeDee Lamb out there and do some things. But they like CeeDee Lamb to be versatile, right? Do some inside, outside things, mostly slot, really. And I'm fine with that. I get it. CeeDee Lamb can be that versatile, move-around guy. So if you're going to use him that way, then you need to upgrade that X position. The other funky twist to this is you can upgrade the slot position and put CeeDee Lamb out there, but I don't think they're going to do that either. I don't think we have a slot, and I always talk about that. It sounds funky, but I don't know if the game is moving away from that. Got to go look around. But I don't know if we have that slot guy. Turpin could potentially be that. I saw him do some slot things. He's a little itty bitty dude, but I like to get Turpin to stretch the field, use that speed. Let's get back to doing what we saw against the 49ers. Bunch these guys up, get some motion, send Turpin or Cooks on the fly, get some jet sweeps. It ain't hard to open up this offense. You just got to be willing to do it. Michael Thomas is washed. Ain't washed him enough to know, but take your word for it. Ain't washed. So Michael Thomas ain't washed. Okay, I haven't watched him enough to know, but I feel like he'd be an upgrade over Michael Gallup. It is what it is. Yeah. Thomas is Sutton over, 100%. Hey, maybe that pine would change your mind. I do know there are certain teams that I've seen give extensions or contracts to these guys, and it's like, we don't care. You're not producing. Have a seat. We know about politics on this team, though. We know about politics. Marshawn Lattimore, Danielle Hunter, big Danielle Hunter fan. Lattimore, I didn't know if Lattimore was on the block, but yeah, I'd love to have Lattimore here, sure. Drew Sanders, yeah, we talked about him in the draft. I doubt they're going to trade their draft pick, but I like Drew Sanders coming out. I don't know if he's playing great in Denver right now. I know Josie Jewell is playing better just because I had looked up Josie Jewell. But Drew Sanders was a guy I kind of wanted in the draft to take over for LVE at some point. And then Fargo, can we trade Gallup for Seti? Man, I'd do it. I'd do it. Said Wilson, we didn't talk about enough. We did here, but it wasn't talked about enough that not only did you move away from Kupp, but you allowed yourself to be talked into taking Gallup over Said. That was a mistake to me, man. A mistake. All right, one more, and I think we're good to go. Indeed, we are. All right, y'all. I don't know if we back today or not for me and Vach. I don't think so. I think tomorrow we'll be back. But Mo will be back on later tonight, A to Z Sports Prime Time. Make sure y'all check him out. He talked yesterday or last night, I believe, about the Sam Williams thing. We've talked about it briefly here. I am going to be very interested to see the conversation if the media decides to bring it up to Dan Quinn or they haven't really talked to Quinn. If they bring it up to McCarthy, I'm going to see if we can get Pat to talk to McCarthy about or to Dan Quinn about it. See if we can get a nugget. But if you missed that, make sure I go check it out. If you missed today's show, running back, we talked heavy about what to potentially do here at the trade deadline. Obviously, that has divided the Cowboys nation as it usually does. And we talked about the Rams offense. We previewed their offense against the Cowboys defense, where the Cowboys may have advantages, where the Rams will try to attack, how they attack, and a thorough breakdown there. If you missed that, make sure y'all run that back. Tomorrow, we'll be breaking down the Rams defense, who last year, it's a little different. They don't got, I believe it was Leonard. They still obviously have Aaron Donald, but Jalen Ramsey was out there. I mean, it's a different style defense last year. Last year, it was Cooper Rush going against those guys. It's different now. It's different. That defense is not what it was, but they still have that one player that can wreck your game if you allow it. So make sure y'all come on back tomorrow, and we'll be breaking that down. So, shouts out to bro in the building. Shouts out to bro. So we back tomorrow. There you go. You heard it there first from Rashaan Evans, the GOAT. We back tomorrow. Make sure y'all come through. With that said,
Push the goddamn button.
Push the goddamn button.
they ain't going straight. They ain't going to do it. Appreciate y'all for jumping in. Make sure on your way out, you do hit the like button and share this with your friends, family, and foes. But definitely your Cowboys Nation friends and family, because they need to start being pushed more towards us. We know how these networks get. We out of here. Love y'all. Peace.